Welcome to College Football Week 3, and there's no debate tonight. We are the best damn sports show on YouTube. So, with that said, our first panelist, he's the beast from the East. He's the assistant to the president of the Doug Flutie fan club. You know him as Lindsey Coyle.
Well, thank you very much. That's a great. Have a round of applause.
Hey, only the best. Only the best. As you can see, I'm dipping down to see the soundboard. Our next panelist, he's my favorite football player, the pride of the Texas State Bobcats. Please welcome Hunter. It's like we're doing the show in front of a live studio audience. And finally, he says the West Coast is the best coast, and you can't spell SEC without SEC. Please welcome Cool Jude Santa Cruz.
Right on, guys. How's everyone doing? Man, that applause. I feel like I'm on the Merv Griffin show.
Hey, we're filmed in front of a live studio audience. All right. A lot of stuff going on this week. Man, it's good to see you guys. We are on a pre-recorded stream right now. So if you're watching us, you're seeing it in the premiere. Jude will be there, Hunter will be there, I'll be there. Maybe Lindsey will be there. We don't know. Lindsey doesn't watch football, so it's kind of, why? Surprise me. So, with that said, coming to you semi-live. We're on premiere mode here. We're watching right now. You're watching Texas State and A-State play the Thursday night Thunder game. So hopefully, I'm not getting yelled at by somebody over.
Hey, I didn't yell last
there.
I didn't yell last week, so
no, because they were. Well, we'll have a turn. We're gonna have a turn for that game here in a little bit, but we'll tell everybody about it. But with that said, let's start the show. Let's get right into the salute to the Service Academy. And Bocce, unfortunately, Army has the week off. So Hunter, Navy has the week off. We're gonna start with the Air Force. And
some might say the Navy
Air
takes
Force got a
week
big
off.
test this weekend. They're playing Baylor, coming off of a close loss to a Utah team. So Baylor's maybe feeling a little bit better. What do you think? What do you got going on here, Jude?
And I think Baylor's a lot better than I thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. But, the Air Force is my academy, and I am going to stick by them, even though a lot of people have told me, come on, you're picking with your heart this week, man. Well, my heart is with the Service Academies. So I'm going to take Air Force to week 1 out, 27-24.
All right, and you can catch that game at 6:30 on Fox Sports 1. All right, with that said, we're going to cruise on over to the Merchant Marine Academy, and Lindsey's going to tell you about how they did last week. I know how they did. He knows how they did. He's going to let you know how they did and what to look forward to this week.
They handily beat WestCon last week, 44-27. Expect to see that kind of domination this week when they play Gallaudet, especially because the team that's going to win this game is the one that can hear the play calls better.
Yes. And for those who don't know, Gallaudet College is a deaf school, I believe. So
I'm sorry, what?
I'll step out of the way of that freight train.
Oh no!
Hey, look. So we have what's called here in Austin. We have what's called Texas School for the Deaf. It's the deaf high school, and they have a large drum. And I tell you what, I've seen many a team take a severe ass beating by TSD. They ran all over them. TSD had some guys that, for real, could have played college football. So
It's all on the silent count, too.
That's true.
No, they have the drum. The drum. They beat the drum for the snap.
I don't think the crowd's going to affect the snap much.
No. All right. We're going to head on over to the Coast Guard Academy, who won their game last weekend, believe it or not. They righted a wrong from the year before, beating the University of New England handily. I don't have the score in front of me, but I remember seeing that they won by more than 2 touchdowns. And this week, they are playing Anna Maria College in Paxton, Massachusetts at 11 a.m. our time. And for those of you who don't know, last year, the Coast Guard Academy beat Anna Maria College 93-24. So look for a 2-game winning streak out of the Coast Guard Academy this week. And that's going to wrap up our salute to the Service Academy. So thank you to all of those who are serving who have served or are attending the service academies. Thank you.
Hey, and real quick, man, if you guys see someone walking around with the veteran of a foreign war hat, take a second, especially the old timers, man. If there's not many World War IIs left, especially shake their hand, thank them for their service, because we're able to do shows like this because of veterans. That we're a free country because of veterans.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to winners and losers. And there's definitely no losers in the service academy. It's only winners. But if we have to talk about winners, we're going to have to talk about some winners. We're going to start with the one, the only cool Jude Santa Cruz. And Jude, give me a winner from last week.
A winner from last week. I know you guys are expecting a homer pick, but a big winner from last week, I'm going to say, is the Tennessee Volunteers, because they beat a ranked North Carolina State team that I think was a little bit overrated, but they jumped up 7 spots, biggest jump in the poll this week, and they even jumped my mighty USC Trojans. So my big winner of the week is Tennessee Volunteers, even though that's probably not what Cass had on paper. It looks like Cass is having some internet issues. Since I gave my winner of the week, Hunter, while we're waiting for Cass to come on, you want to give your winner of the week?
Yeah, I'll go with my winner of the week. Big winner of the week, I'll go with my personal school, the Texas State Bobcats. Broke a 5-game losing streak to the UTSA Roadrunners in dominant fashion, winning 49-10. And I'm going to go there. I don't know if there'd be a whole on segment, but we call that game in this house belt to ass.
Nice. Oh man, yeah, that was a big win. Are they a rival team?
Yep.
Yeah. Whenever you break a losing streak SC lost at one point 13. They lost 12 out of 13 games to Notre Dame. They had one tie, and they lost 8 straight to UCLA at one point. This is like in the 80s and 90s. So I know what it feels like to right or wrong. So man, that must feel great after 5 years.
Yeah.
And Lindsay, do you have a big winner for us this week?
I was kind of tossed up between two, because I liked that Georgia Tech went over Syracuse by a paltry 3 points. They squeezed that one out. But I got to hand it to Boston College, who really opened it up on Duquesne and shut them out after scoring 56 points. So you take your pick as what you think is a more impressive win. I thought both those games were games that surprised me a bit on what their final outcome was, and certainly the Boston College game was better than I thought it would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Boston College has they're ranked down. They have a big game this weekend. Is Boston College, Missouri, one of our top 7 games?
Yep.
Yeah,
it is. All right. So we'll hit on that a little bit later. But man, that's going to be a tough game. But you guys are playing really well, man. You guys are playing really, really well.
It's nice to see it. It's always you always do a lot of finger crossing at the start of every year with them. But BC came out of the gates looking pretty good, so I'm pretty high on them right now.
I think it's fair to say that all of us, except for Cass, whose Notre Dame team took a tough L this weekend. But at least they can say they lost to a ranked team, because NIU is now ranked. NIU is now ranked. But that was all of our teams did pretty well this week. All right, so we all got our winners in. Cass, you want to give us your winner?
I'm not going to say Charter Spectrum is a winner right now, because this internet stuff is killing me here.
It's all right.
I'm surprised you didn't hear me on his live stream cussing Spectrum. Like, holy shit. What am I supposed to do? It cuts off. Right now, I'm looking at the lowest internet signal you can get before blippity bloopity, the screen goes back. All right, my winner from last week is definitely not Charter Spectrum. My winner last week is, I didn't even thought about it yet, but we'll go with I'm gonna go with Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State came up and snatched victory out of the jaws of defeat. But conversely, my loser from last week is Arkansas, because Arkansas statistically dominated Oklahoma State. And if you watch the game, they dominated Oklahoma State for 3.5 quarters until the fourth quarter. And then Arkansas, they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, and that's why they're the loser. The coaching in the Arkansas game was not good because you can't go and give up a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter to a team that you are throttling at home by every metric out there and then pull that mess off. So, with that said, Arkansas is my loser. Lindsay, who do you have as a big loser from last week?
The biggest loser will go on the other side of the equation that I talked about earlier with the Boston College game. You can't get shut out when you play Boston College, and Duquesne did. They didn't stand a chance from the jump on that game. And when you're playing a school like BC that certainly has its struggles, and I know that they've gotten their act together during this offseason, but not bringing anything to the table to even get on the board is fairly shameful against a team like BC. So shame on Duquesne. They're the loser of the week.
I'll tell you what, Duquesne, they won in the financial department, though. I'm sure the check they got from Boston College looked really good.
So it's a moral victory for them of sorts.
I don't know, financial, too.
Yeah, financial.
You can money whip me if you want. Jude, who is a big loser from last week?
Oh, big loser from last week. After winning their season opener and then being declared almost a sure-in for a playoff bid because they were going to be favorites in every one of their games the rest of the year, including what people were saying, the USC Trojans. But now they won't be favored against the USC Trojans. I can promise you that. But Notre Dame, man, they dropped the ball against NIU. But one thing I want to say about that game, losing that game, it was a good game. They both played hard. Just NIU just happened to play better that day. But the passion in the coach from NIU when he was getting interviewed on the sidelines, talking about how he prepared his team, how they win, and this is what they played for, and hearing the story about how he begged for that job 8 years ago, man, that was touching, man. That was really touching. You almost had to get teary-eyed watching him get teary-eyed.
Well, I have to say, if you're the person that hired him, you're like, hey, we hired the right guy.
Yeah.
He's had a good history of success, though. This is his biggest win, but this is not foreign territory for him to be successful. So he's a great coach, and he deserves all the successes that he's earned. So
yeah, I forget what they called it, but they had a nickname for their Power 5 victories, but I can't remember what they called it. The Boneyard win. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, man, sorry, Cass, but that's my big loser of the week.
Oh man, we'll take it. All right. With that said, Hunter, who is your biggest loser from last week?
My biggest loser from last week, I'm going to go ahead and dogpile this team. The Kent State Golden Flashes. They lose big against Pitt. They were competitive for a little bit. But then they play the St. Francis, Pennsylvania Red Flashes, which is a good, pretty funny name if you think about it. St. Francis is not a FCS power by any measure. I don't even know if they have scholarship players. I know they lost to Dayton, who doesn't have scholarship players, but they go out and beat Kent State in convincing fashion in Kent, Ohio, or wherever Kent State's at. I don't know. It's just you can't have this. Year two of this coach, they look no better than they did last year. They look worse. Biggest loser.
All right, and that's gonna wrap the winners and losers segment from week number 2, which is really week 3. Who knows, right? All right, with that said, let's break it down. Y'all ready to do some conference breakdown?
Always.
All right, let me see if I can put us in here, and then I don't know how to make you big and you small. We'll just roll like this. So I'm going to bring y'all up one at a time. We're going to cover the conferences of conferences. We're going to start with one, Mr. Cool Jude Santa Cruz, in the old Mountain West. So, Jude, unfortunately, most of the games from both of your conferences are going to be in the games of the week, or the ones to watch. So,
there's some good games this weekend.
Yeah. All right. With that said, we're going to start on Saturday because, you're like, well, what about UNLV? Well, we're going to get to UNLV here in just a minute. We're going to talk about Nevada traveling to Minnesota at 2:30. Minnesota's favored by a lot in this, but if you watch Nevada play, you don't turn your back on the Wolfpack because you might end up in a body bag. Right, Jude?
Yeah. Minnesota is favored by a lot. Nevada is a tough team to play. I mean, they might show up, but man, Minnesota. I think I picked them outright last week against what was it, North Carolina?
Mhm.
Uh,
No, they played. That was 2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I think I picked them outright. But anyways, I think Minnesota's going to win this game handily. I don't think Nevada's going to probably play good, for a quarter and a half. Everybody has those first 15 scripted plays that usually do pretty well, but I think Minnesota is ultimately going to handle this game relatively easily.
All right. So if something were to happen and we're cut out, I would ask that Hunter take over. So be prepared. With that said, all right, Jude. You got Utah beating Utah State. This game's actually being played at I think it's Maverick Stadium in Logan, Utah. Utah State is the underdog. Utah is favored by 20. Cam Rising's status is still unknown for this week, but you got Utah winning this game big, right?
Yeah, Utah winning this game big. The Cam Rising, I don't think they really need Cam Rising to beat Utah State. So yeah, Utah winning big.
All right, our next game. Kennesaw State's traveling to play San Jose State at 6 p.m. on True TV. And this is coming from CFCU Stadium in San Jose, California. Does Coach Ken get the third win in a row at San Jose State?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, great start for that team. They deserve something like that. Take San Jose State big.
All right. Hawaii is traveling all the way across the earth to Prison City, Texas. Huntsville to take on the Sam Houston State Bearcats at 6 p.m. This game's going to happen on ESPN Plus. It's from Elliott T. Bauer Stadium in Huntsville. Literally, the state prison is Huntsville, and the fans at Sam Houston, they get up and they flex in the stands and they say, "Welcome to Prison City." I'm like, I was there. I've seen it. Hunter he can vouch for me on this.
I was playing in the match. In my defense.
Well, were you?
I played the last 10, 15. I played the last 20 minutes.
All right.
Oh,
with that said,
low.
Sam Houston State's favored by 4.5. Jude, who do you have winning this matchup?
I think I'm going to go with the upset. Take Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Hawaii has had a couple of rough games to start the season, but I think they're going to bounce back and win.
All right. I get to pick the other side of this game, and I get to pick from the other conference on this game. I'll let you know what my pick is here in a minute. All right. With that said, New Mexico travels to Auburn at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN2 from Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. Auburn is a 4-touchdown favorite in this game. Does New Mexico and Bronco Mendenhall have anything for the Auburn Tigers?
No, I don't think they do, and I don't think Auburn's quarterback would be getting any, DMs asking him to give him money on Venmo because he lost the game like they did against Cal.
All right, we've already covered Air Force and Baylor. Colorado and Colorado State are coming up in the ones to watch. I don't know why we bring Colorado in every week. I don't know why, but we'll get to that.
You know why? It's that big smile. It's that big smile, them cowboy hats and them sunglasses.
We're going to talk about a game that could get out of hand quick, and that is BYU and Wyoming at 8 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. Remember, all times are Central Standard Time that I am announcing from War Memorial Stadium in Laramie, Wyoming. I've watched Wyoming play the first 2 weeks. Jude has watched Wyoming play the first 2 weeks. Neither one of us think they got a chance against BYU.
No, they don't. Take BYU big.
All right. Next, we got those Aztecs from San Diego State traveling just a little bit down the road to Berkeley, California at 9:30 p.m. on ESPN. We got Cal hosting San Diego State. Cal is pretty damn good.
Cal is pretty damn good. And San Diego State is going to find that out on Saturday.
Yep. All right. So our final game of the week, New Mexico State's traveling to Fresno State at 9:30 p.m. on True TV. I'm going to tell you right now, Jude, I'm going to probably make it to the first half of this thing. By halftime, Hunter's going to be kicking me in the legs, telling me to go to bed.
Yeah, those West Coast games, man, 8 o'clock start times. This past weekend, the 8 o'clock start time at the Coliseum was the latest start time ever for a USC home game.
And the lights went out. They were playing in the dark.
They were pretty much playing in the dark.
But
inflation is too much,
you got
man.
Fresno State. You got Fresno State winning this big.
Yeah, take Fresno State.
All right. Well, Jude, since I got you on the spot, why don't we hop over to the big conference and talk about the Big Ten?
All right.
You know, most of your games from the Big Ten, they're in the ones to watch also. But the good news is you do get to pick them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. This week in the Big House at 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network, Arkansas State travels to number 17, Michigan. Michigan's favored by a whole lot and a whole lot more. Does Michigan come off the slide and pound the Red Wolves from Arkansas State into the ground?
Yeah, bounce back game, big time.
All right. I wish my internet would bounce back, but you know, it is what it is. All right, 11 a.m. on Peacock. You know that fangled animal-looking thing. We got the Central Michigan Chippewas traveling to Illinois to take on the Fighting Illini, who gave Kansas a solid belt-to-ass beating last week. Well, it wasn't belt-to-ass, but it was pretty bad. Kansas got dominated. Maybe not on the scoreboard, but overall got dominated. You got Illinois taking down Central Michigan without a problem.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to cover the Civil War between Oregon and Oregon State just in a few minutes. Now we're going to get to hop onto a team who kind of slipped up a little bit last week. Number 18, Notre Dame, travels across the state of Indiana to Purdue at 2:30 p.m. from Ross-Ade Stadium. Notre Dame is favored by 10 in this game. Does Notre Dame come off of the upset of upsets and get back and pound Purdue into submission?
They get back off the mat, but I don't know about pounding. I like Notre Dame, but I don't like them to cover the spread.
All right. At 2:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network from Spartan Stadium in East Lansing, Michigan, the Michigan State Spartans host Prairie View A&M. Now, Michigan State got a pretty big win last week that not a lot of people know about because they played Maryland. And if you think, well, you know, it's Maryland, right? Maryland's not a bad team. And Michigan State made a convincing win. Now, it wasn't a huge score differential, but it was a good game. So this week, Prairie View A&M stands no chance against the Spartans, do they?
No, not at all, man. Michigan State looked great and really surprised me. I think they're surprising a lot of teams because I think they were looked over in the new, 18-team Big Ten or whatever it is, 16-team Big Ten. They were kind of looked over.
It's 24, but who's counting?
Yeah, Michigan State's going to pound them.
All right, we're going to cover the Apple Cup here shortly. Now we get over to Troy, traveling to Iowa at 3 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa. Iowa lost a pretty big game against Iowa State. And I think we were all pretty heavy on Iowa last week. Now, I don't think Troy is going to be. I said we were maybe almost all, but I don't think Troy's going to be any competition from Iowa. And I don't think Jude agrees with me on this one.
I do agree with you on that one. I hate voting, picking against any team called the Trojans, but yes, I do agree with you on that one.
All right. After their win against Colorado last week, number 23 Nebraska is hosting Northern Iowa at 6:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network from Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. That was a rowdy place there last week.
Sure was.
We both agree that Nebraska's going to crush Northern Iowa here.
Oh man, they sure are, and good for Matt Rule, man. Good for guys like Doug Schmidt who like Nebraska.
Yep,
I like this.
Our bud Doug there.
Yep.
All right, Jude. I know you got this game circled for a certain reason, but I won't give it away just yet. Indiana travels to UCLA at 6:30 p.m. on the NBC or the Peacock channel from Rose Bowl Stadium in beautiful Pasadena, California. I've never been there, but my buddy Jude tells me that Pasadena, that's God's country right there. Indiana's a 3-point favorite. Does Deshaun Foster and the UCLA Bruins have anything for the Hoosiers?
No, unfortunately not, man. This is the two worst teams in the Big Ten, and I think we're going to find out Saturday that UCLA is by far the worst of the two worst teams in the Big Ten.
All right.
The worst serve of the. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. at 6:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network from a kind of a converted stadium there in Illinois. Eastern Illinois travels to take on the Wildcats of Northwestern, who gave up a heartbreaker to the Duke Blue Devils last week. We both have Northwestern win this game by a country mile.
Sure. Yep. Northwestern's going to bounce back, and that was a pretty good game last week with Northwestern and Duke. Man, the Brainiacs, the Brainiac Bowl.
Yeah, that like I said, I couldn't get into the lunchroom at that either one of those schools. All right,
My
at
IQ's
7
not high
p.m.
enough to
on
serve them lunch.
at 7 p.m. on the ACC network from Scott Stadium in Charlottesville, Virginia. The Maryland Terrapins take on the Virginia Cavaliers. Now, some people might say this is the game of the week, but Virginia's undefeated. They haven't lost. They've looked good. Jude, who do you got winning this game in the final Big Ten game of the week?
I thought about this game a lot, and I went back and forth, and I might even be going back and forth right now, but I'm going to take Maryland to win this game.
All right. The Terrapins, we're going to go with the Terrapins and Coach Mike Loxley. Let's see if they can pull it off. And that's going to wrap up the Big Ten and Cool Jude Santa Cruz. Now, Jude, sit back and relax, and we're going to let Lindsay take the next one. All right, Lindsay, you ready to go to the American Conference, or like we like to call it, the AAC?
Sure.
All right. At 11 a.m. on ESPN2 from Chapman Stadium in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the number 13 Oklahoma State Cowboys travel to take on the Golden Hurricane from Tulsa. What you got on this one?
Oklahoma State will roll right over Tulsa. They're favored to win by almost 3 touchdowns. I think that they're going to cover that spread handily. And the over-under at 62.5, I'm going to take the over because Oklahoma State is that much more potent. I don't think this is going to be much of a matchup at all, to be honest with you.
All right, from Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida, those sneaky Memphis Tigers travel to take on the Seminoles from Florida State. This is at 11 a.m. on the big four-letter network, ESPN. Does Florida State come off the schneid and pound Memphis into submission?
I'm not going to say that. In fact, I don't even feel that good about Florida State winning. I think that your descriptor of Memphis being sneaky is pretty appropriate for this, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were to upset Florida State on this one and win by a field goal. I think the over-under at 52.5 might be right around where this game is going to finish. I would choose Memphis to have the edge on this one to squeeze out a win in maybe the last half of the fourth quarter.
All righty. And at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports 1 from Jones Stadium in, well, it's in Lubbock. We're not going to say it's beautiful. Everybody on this panel except for Jude has been to Lubbock, and nobody here wants to go and say it's beautiful. The North Texas Mean Green travel to take on Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech's favored in this game. If you watched them last week against Washington State, you would say they wouldn't be favored in anything. Lindsay, what do you got on this one?
I do have this as a bounce-back game for them, though, and I don't see them losing unless the wheels completely fall off their machine, but I'd like them well enough against North Texas to pull this one out. Look for them to cover the spread at 9.5. I'll take the under, though, of 69.5.
All right.
I did see the Buddy Holly story, so.
What's that?
I saw the Buddy Holly story, so does that count as being kind of to Lubbock?
Close enough. Close enough.
Just
all
imagine
right,
being sad and having nothing to do. That's every day in Lubbock.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to throw a little something interesting in here. So my wife and I are friends with the parents of a Texas Tech Red Raider, one Cameron Dickey, who scored a touchdown in a college football game last week in Washington State. So congratulations, Cameron Dickey, former Crockett Cougar.
All right.
Very cool.
Former
very cool.
SAO Scorpion. He played in the Central Texas Youth Football League, which I was the president of for many years. So congratulations, Cameron, from the CTYFL to you. I don't represent them anymore, but yeah, what the heck. All right, at 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you're a Cowboys fan, you think that place sucks. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers go and take on the Temple Owls. And Lindsay, do you agree with me that Coastal's going to pound Temple into submission?
I think so. They're going to win by at least 3 touchdowns. So I would have them cover the spread easily on this one and take the over. Coastal Carolina just has it all over Temple in every aspect of the game, and they're going to bring it to them on Saturday. So it's Coastal Carolina all the way.
All right, at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN from the Palace in the Prairie, or on the Prairie in the Prairie, who knows? The Green Wave from Tulane travel to take on the number 15 Oklahoma Sooners. Now, you're going to get a differing opinion from another panelist on this game, possibly.
Oh, all right.
Do you think Tulane pulls this one off, or do you think Oklahoma could be upset alert ready?
Well, I feel kind of strange about this one because I was going back and forth on whether I think Tulane has it in them to pull the upset. And if they did, it would be quite the win for them. They're going to give it a fight, and I think this one's going to go down to everything they've got in the fourth quarter to keep it together. But ultimately, I think Oklahoma will pull away and win by a couple of touchdowns.
All right, our next game. This is going to be a mouthful for me, so get ready for it. At 2:30 p.m., pardon me, 3 p.m. on ESPNU from Dowdy-Fickens Stadium in Greenville, North Carolina. It's the App State Mountaineers taking on the East Carolina Pirates. I did it without messing up. Lindsay, is App State going to right their wrongs from last week and pound East Carolina? They're going to take it to the Pirates?
They might right their wrongs, but they're not going to pound them. This is going to be a very close game. So, although I wouldn't be surprised, regardless of the outcome, I don't think it's going to be a walk for any of these teams. It's going to be close no matter what. Ultimately, App State has what it takes to win, but East Carolina is going to be out for blood. It's going to be a pretty high-scoring game, though, and I wouldn't be surprised to give East Carolina the upset because App State goes in as a 2.5-point favorite. Look for East Carolina to pull this one out late. And I'll go with I'll say that the 60.5 over-under is a little conservative. Don't be surprised to see a higher scoring game than you might think.
All right, at 3:15 on the SEC Network from the cultural mecca of the Southwest, Fayetteville, Arkansas, from Razorback Stadium, the University of Alabama Birmingham Blazers travel to take on those pesky Razorbacks from Arkansas. You got Arkansas winning this game?
Oh, yeah, handily. This one is going to be a walk, and Arkansas is going to come out of the blocks pretty strong. Don't be surprised if by the end of the first quarter this game's all but over, and Arkansas should go on to coast through the remainder of the game. I think they're going to win by 3, maybe 4 touchdowns.
All right, we're going to head on over to the state of Florida for a rivalry game. We all like rivalry games, don't we? We have the Shula Bowl on Saturday at 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus from FAU Stadium in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, between the Florida International, whatever they are, and the Florida Atlantic Owls.
Golden Panthers.
All right. All I know is they should be named the Pit Bulls. FIU Pit Bulls. We're going to go with that. We're changing the name. I'm going to submit it right now. All right, Lindsay, I don't know who to pick in this one. I'm going to go with what I know. I'm going to go with Tom Herman on this one and the Florida Atlantic Owls. Who do you have?
That's probably the safe bet on this. Although it will be a close game, I see Florida Atlantic winning. I don't think they're going to cover the spread, though. I think that they're going to come in having won by maybe a field goal. And I'll take the under of 43.5 because this is not going to be a high-scoring game, and they're going to need every tick on the clock to do this. So I do give the edge to Florida Atlantic, although Florida International will be right on their heels.
All right, at 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus from Terrible Human Stadium, or as we like to call him, Jerry Richardson, Charlotte, North Carolina, the Gardner-Webb, whatever they are, travel to take on the Charlotte 49ers.
Let's give this one to
I think
Charlotte.
they are Gardner-Webb Bulldogs. I was going to go with Bulldogs, but then I was like, eh.
You're probably safe going with an animal.
Yep.
You know, give this one to Charlotte. Although
I was
this
going
is
to go with cockatoos, but, you know.
It could be. We don't know.
Yeah.
We'd have to
All
look
the
it up.
student athletes.
Yep. All right.
The Gardner-Webb
6
adjunct
p.m.
faculty members go up against the Charlotte, whatever they are.
49ers. The
49ers.
The 49ers. But they wear
That
green
name's
and white.
already taken. It's been used.
Yeah. You don't know that. Which came first, Charlotte or San Francisco? Huh?
I don't know. That's a good
I bet
question. I don't know.
I bet the university.
You're probably right.
At 6 p.m. on ESPN, that's that four-letter network from DKR Texas Memorial Stadium in beautiful Austin, Texas, because I live here and I can say that. And if you lived here, you would agree with me most of the time, except for August, and you'd be like, hell no, it's hotter than hell here. The number 2 Texas Longhorns host those Roadrunners from Utsa. And does Utsa take a second belt-to-ass beating this week in a row?
No, I don't know how you can pick against UTSA on this one. Texas is going to go down in flames. And I think by the end of halftime, and we're ready to start the third quarter, you're going to see such a lopsided game, you're going to wonder why you even bought tickets. I'm kidding. That's not the way it's going to go. This one's UT all the way. This is a game that you don't even have to actually play. This one is done on paper. Let's just save ourselves the embarrassment and keep the kids healthy and keep them off the field this week and give it to UT because they will win handily. They will cover the spread of 35. I'll pick the over at 53.5.
Okay, so disclaimer:
That was
Lindsay
a
doesn't
great
watch a lot of
sell.
college football.
Dude, that was a great sell. I almost thought, who were they playing? I thought they were playing Texas.
Right now, just disclaimer: Lindsay doesn't watch a lot of football, but he does have a really good sense of humor, and I guarantee you, Steve Sarkisian is about to reach through the screen and smack Lindsay in a noggin there.
All
right, moving on. 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus from M&M Roberts Stadium in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Watch out for your welfare checks. South Florida travels to take on the Southern Miss Eagles. Who do you got in this one, Lindsay?
I got South Florida winning by 10, maybe 14 points. I like their defense a bit against Southern Miss. I think they're going to hold them at bay long enough to pull this one out.
All right. So I always rag on Southern Miss. It's not Southern Miss's fault. Actually, it's their administration's fault. Brett Favre is a terrible human being, and the fact that they took money from the state for people in need to build a volleyball court, that's why I rag on them. Just disclaimer on that one. All right. We have another rivalry game, Lindsay. Can you believe that?
It's a good week for rivalries.
Good week for rivalries. And it's the Bayou Bucket between Rice and Houston. Houston's favored by 4.5 in this game.
I
don't know.
I don't either.
You pick this one. It's your conference.
I know. I like Rice, and I like their chances against Houston, but I never really want to. I don't want to be the guy to count Houston out. So I think this one's going to be pretty close. Ultimately, I like Rice in an upset on this one, but maybe by a field goal late in the game. Because I think the two teams are fairly evenly matched. It should be a fun one to watch.
We got some minute Rice going on here or what?
Oh.
All right, Lindsay, that's the American Conference, or as we like to call it, the AAC. Now let's hop over to the ACC, the All Coast Conference, as Jude would like to say, because they got teams coming from all the coastuses. We've already covered this Memphis-Florida State game, and I'm going to add one more thing on this. Until 3-2-1 Noel eats dog shit out of a red Solo cup with a spoon, Florida State will be cursed from here on.
Man.
Moving on, 11 a.m. on the ACC network from Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs travel to take on the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Wolfpack is favored big in this game.
And rightly so. They're going to win this one going away. I think that Louisiana Tech has what it takes to stay competitive early, but look for it to come apart on them after halftime. Once the second half starts, NC State's going to walk away. I think they're going to cover that spread of 21.5 easily and look for the over, which is at 48.5.
All right. So the number 24 and number 6 Boston College at Missouri matchup, we're going to cover that in the ones to watch. We're going to hop on over to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida, where there's a hurricane going on. Ball State's going to face the Miami Hurricanes. You don't have Ball State doing anything in this game except for showing up their check.
Ball State's going to roll right out the door with a loss on this one. It's not going to take much to beat them. They're not they're not what I would consider a quality team, especially playing a powerhouse like Miami. So this one's going to be Miami all the way. Again, this is one of those games that you play it on paper and save yourself the heartache and the risk of injury of the kids and just look forward to the week after. Miami has everything that they need and then some. They should probably rest their starters a lot in this game and just take the win before they even start the kickoff because the 36.5-point spread that they have, I think they'll easily cover. And I'll take the over of 54.5.
All right, at 2:30 p.m. from Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets take on VMI. Now, VMI is a nice program, but they don't stand a chance against Georgia Tech this weekend, do they?
No, they don't. Georgia Tech is certainly the team they're going to have to try to beat, but they won't. I like what Georgia Tech has done so far this year, although it's a small sample size. It's easy to see that they've got what it takes to be competitive with the better teams. So when they're playing a team like VMI, it's Georgia Tech all the way.
All right. With that said, we got another Smart Kids School matchup here at 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus from Wallace Wade Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. The Yukon Huskies travel to take on the Duke Blue Devils. Does Duke go for win number 4, I believe, on the season? 3 or 4?
I think
3.
I think they do. UConn's a good team, not good enough. Duke has a better defense, and ultimately that's what's going to propel them to victory here. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them not cover the spread, though, and win by 10-14, but it's going to be Duke all the way.
All right, at 5 p.m., we got the North Carolina Tar Heels hosting HBCU great team, perennial team, the North Carolina Central. I don't know what their mascot is, but Hunter will know.
Hawks,
right now.
I think.
Hawks. From Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, the Tar Heels, this is a good opportunity for the Tar Heels, who are breaking in a new quarterback, to get the quarterback up to speed a little bit more versus North Carolina Central. They'll give you a good game, but you're not going to be in doubt on this game.
No, and I think it's a good way to look at it too. Get your guys some work who need it, and North Carolina should not have a problem coming out in the end on top. But it's a good way to kind of slow the pace a little bit on the season early, get your house in order where you need to, get your guys the reps that they need, and then look forward to the week after.
All right, and our next game, believe it or not, I couldn't find it as a rivalry game, but at 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus from SB Ballard Stadium in Norfolk, Virginia, the Old Dominion Monarchs host the Virginia Tech Hokies. Virginia Tech's favored by a lot in this one, but Old Dominion has beat Virginia Tech in the past.
They have. I don't know that they're going to have enough to do it this week, but I think it's going to be closer than the 14-point spread would indicate. Look for Old Dominion to hang tough throughout, but ultimately Virginia Tech will prevail, but they're going to need all game to do it. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win by 7-10, so I would take I don't think they're going to cover the spread, and I'm going to take the under of the 49.5 over under.
All right, so on this next game, you're going to see Jude pumping his arm up here at 5:30 p.m. on the CW Network from Allegiance Federal Credit Union Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons host the Lane Train and the number 5 ranked Ole Miss Rebels. Look at Jude pumping that arm for the Lane Train.
Kiff.
Wake Forest stands no chance against Ole Miss, do they, Lindsay?
No, they don't. I like their program, though, and I like watching them play. I think that this is going to be the one to watch if you simply want to see a well-played game. I'd look for there to be few penalties because I think it'll be nice and clean, but ultimately Wake Forest simply doesn't have the skilled players to beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss is ranked pretty high anyway. They're kind of a powerhouse team. Look for them to take this one walking away by 3, maybe 4 touchdowns. So I would look for them to cover that 23.5-point spread.
All right, at 7 p.m. on the ACC Network from Scott Stadium in Charlottesville, Virginia. It sounds like I just said this game recently, because I did, because Jude picked the Maryland Terrapins to beat the Virginia Cavaliers. What do you think, Lindsay?
I'm going to take the opposite on this one. I like Virginia. I know.
Uh-oh,
I like
separation.
It's going to be
You know
close.
what happens if Virginia wins 3 games in a row? It's called a streak.
Whoa. Dare I say a dynasty?
The sky falls apart.
Sky falls apart. Yeah. Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah. Mass hysteria.
No, Virginia has what it takes. You just have to have a little luck go their way. I look for them to have that this week. And although it's going to be close, I'll look for Virginia to pull it out by maybe a touchdown.
All right, another head-to-head matchup between you and Cool Jude Santa Cruz coming up next at 9:30 p.m. on ESPN. I can't read it. It's, I think, California Memorial Stadium in Berkeley, California. Those dang California Golden Bears host the Aztecs from San Diego State. Do you oppose Jude's opinion, or are you and Jude in agreement that Cal will crush the Aztecs?
Yeah, we're in agreement on this one. That's not going to be close. I would look for California to more than cover that spread. I would take the over 47.5 points for two reasons. Number one, California has a better defense, but a more potent offense means that they're going to keep the scoring down from San Diego State while they put that ball in the end zone repeatedly.
San Diego State and the ACC. I don't know if I'm cool with all this realignment, man. I'm a tradition. I hated the fact that we became the Pac-12.
Well, Jude, San Diego State's in the Mountain West. Cal is in the ACC.
I got it. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Cal. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Cal. I don't know if I like all this realignment, man. I totally said that wrong. But yeah, it's killing me, man.
We're here for you, Jude. We're here for you.
We can hug this out.
All right, now we're going to head over to my conference, the Conference of Champions, the CUSA, because every year they do crown a champion for the conference. With that said, at 11 a.m. on the ACC network from Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. I got NC State smashing La Tech here. I have no faith in Louisiana Tech. I think NC State wins by, well, this is going to be one of those, what Hunter would say, belt to ass games right here.
Belt to ass. I'm going to start using that.
All right. And then the, where's this one at? What is this rivalry game called again? The Shula Bowl. I'm taking FAU. All right, said it. I'm going to stick by it. Shula Bowl. I got the Owls winning big. At 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus from Williams Stadium in Lynchburg, Virginia, the home of Jack Daniels. We got the Miners from UTEP going to play the Liberty Flames. I think Liberty is going to win this game, but I wasn't really impressed with Liberty last week, so I think they'll still put belt to ass against the Miners, but Liberty's going to win by a sizable margin. All right, and at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus, it's running late here. We're 47 minutes into this program here. I'm slipping just a tiny bit. 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. From somewhere in Michigan, Eastern Michigan's hosting those Gamecocks from Jacksonville State. Now, Jacksonville State has taken some unnecessary punishment at the beginning of the year. I'm a little worried about Coach Richrod here. I think it's Ryerson Stadium in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I think. Something. I'm close. All right. I'm going to pick Jayville State to upset Eastern Michigan and to cover. So take the over. Well, of course they cover because they beat them. But take the over. Jacksonville State and the over. And that's 6 p.m. on True TV. The Kennesaw State. God, botched it again, Hunter. What is Kennesaw State here? Owls. The Kennesaw. We have multiple Owls in the Conference USA. The Conference of Champions has multiple Owls. Look at there. Who? All right. Enough with the dad jokes here. From CU Stadium in San Jose State, California. San Jose, California. I think that the San Jose State wins this one by a lot. This could be a belt to ass game right here. Kennesaw State's traveling across the country to take on San Jose State. And remember, it's always easier to travel from west to east than it is from east to west. So look for this game to be a belt to ass game on True TV. All right. Now check this out. We have another rivalry game here. This is called the 100 Miles of Hate between Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. This game happens at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus from Johnny Red Floyd Stadium in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Western Kentucky is a 7.5-point favorite here. I think Western Kentucky wins by that margin and take the over. And from Prison City, the Rainbow Warriors from Hawaii travel to take a substantial beating from the Sam Houston State Bobcats. At 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus, Sam Houston State covers. Not only they cover, take the over. What's that?
Bearcats. They're the Bearcats.
Bearcats, Bobcats, Alley Cats. All right. I was looking at your Bobcat hat. I'm lying right now.
Tabby Cats.
Tabby Cat. Oh, there you go. At 9:30 p.m. on True TV. True TV and the CW Network are hosting a ton of sports right now. Check it out. From Valley Children's Stadium in Fresno, California, the Fresno State Bulldogs, they're going to win. They're going to beat New Mexico State by 3 touchdowns. Easily. I'm going to take the Bulldogs all day long and twice on Sunday. And that's going to wrap up the Conference of Champions because they have to have a champion. The CUSA. We're going to move over. Might as well. I'll just double dip on every panelist tonight. I'm going to hop on over to the Big 12, the other Conference of Champions. Ooh, I get to pick one that Hunter's not going to like. On Thursday night, as you're watching this in the Texas State Bobcats play from San Marcos, Texas. At 6:30 p.m. on ESPN from Bobcat Stadium in beautiful San Marcos, Texas. And I can tell you that because I know somebody that went there. I watched them jump into the river.
Stadium. The
Arizona State Scum Devils travel to take on the Bobcats. And I'm going to take the Bobcats in the upset here. Arizona State's favored by 1.5. I'm going to say the Bobcats get it done. And they're going to prove that San Marcos is the party school of the United States. Not only are they going to whip their ass on the field, but they're going to whip their ass in the square afterwards.
Hey, I heard recently or read recently that Texas State parties harder. I don't know where I saw that.
That's a proven fact. That's been proved by science.
I don't know.
All
I
right.
just went there.
All right. Now, a few of my games are getting, shabobbled here because they're in the ones to watch. I don't know who picked those. But we'll move over to Saturday at 11 a.m. from Chapman Stadium in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I got Oklahoma State smashing Tulsa. Tulsa's not a very good team, and I think that we find out why on Saturday. At 11 a.m. on ESPNU from Yager Stadium in Oxford, Ohio, I have the Red Hawks of Miami of Ohio taking down the Cincinnati Bearcats. Handily taking down the Bearcats. I have another upset pick this week at 11 a.m. with Fox Sports 1 from Jones Stadium in Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. I have the North Texas Mean Green taking down the Red Raiders. Can you believe that? It's pandemonium. Now, the number 12. Oh, hey, everybody say hi to Matthew. Jude's boy Matthew there.
There's a brief sighting.
At 3:30 p.m. on the CBS Sports Network from Maverick Stadium in Logan, Utah. I got Utah winning this by a ton. Built the ass game here. All right. At 6:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 from McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. You got Air Force and Baylor. I don't think Baylor covers this one. They may win this game, but I think Air Force is going to keep it really close. Colorado and Colorado State we're going to cover here in just a minute. 6:30 p.m. on Fox, we got UCF and TCU. I hate to tell this to TCU fans. UCF, if they come in there, they march in there. I hate to tell this to the Big 12. If UCF goes into TCU and looks dominant, watch out because UCF could be the sleeper team of the Big 12. And then the Bayou Bucket, I have Rice beating Houston, mainly because I just don't like Houston. And then the nightcap at 8 p.m. on CBS Sports Network from Laramie, Wyoming. I'm going to take the Cougs from BYU to take down the Cowboys. I haven't been impressed with Wyoming at all this season. And I'm going to go with the Cougars from Brigham Young. And that will wrap up the Big 12. And we're going to hop on over to the belt. And that's the Sun Belt Conference. Here in a second, I'll get it to pull up here. And then I'll have to talk to one Hunter about the Arizona State Wildcats and the Texas State Bobcats. And this almost made it to the ones to watch. So since it didn't, we'll just talk about it excessively.
Two great party schools. I don't know. There's not much else either school offers, to be perfectly honest. As much as I love my wondrous degree in political science from Texas State, it's Texas State. I will say we produce people who are good at some things.
Hey, there was a president of the United States come from Texas State. Can UT say that? I don't think so.
Could be building a library there. Anyway, so It's all right. I'll make up for it. I'll have my presidential library built at Texas State, right over his statue. Anyway, Texas State, huge win against UTSA. It paid off to hold back against Lamar. I still don't like that they did that. Arizona State can run the football really well. Texas State has not been tested on the ground quite yet. But
look for this name this weekend. You're going to hear this a lot. Cam Scattaboo.
Yeah, Cam Scattaboo's a great running back.
That's his name. His name is Cam Scattaboo.
However, I will say the last time Cam Scattaboo played against G.J. Kinney, his UIW Cardinals beat the Cam Scattaboo-led Sacramento State Hornets in the FCS playoffs. So I'm going to take G.J. Kinney to once again beat Cam Scattaboo as the Texas State Bobcats earn the biggest win in program history.
All right, I'll say this. Joey Preciado is going to be flipping out somewhere on Instagram, on my Instagram. He's going to be leaving me all kinds of messages during this Arizona State. Because not only is Joey Preciado a Sac State guy, he's an Arizona State guy. So we're going to call this the Joey Preciado versus Hunter Bowl here. So there you go. Once again, OG versus OG panelists on Wide Right CFB. All right, Hunter, there's another game going on at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus from Hancock Whitney Stadium in Mobile, Alabama. Northwestern State is going to travel to take on the Jags from South Alabama. Does Major Applewhite get this victory and put Northwestern State away early and often?
I think so. Northwestern State's 0-2. They're coming off of a really rough year last year, not just on the field, but off the field. A lot of unfortunate things happened. A player was unfortunately shot and killed. And I just don't think that they have mentally and culturally recovered there at Northwestern State. I don't see the program really going anywhere right now. This is a win for South Alabama. I don't expect it to be anything particularly entertaining or great, unfortunately. But I think South Alabama gets it done without a problem.
All right. At 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network on Saturday from Ann Arbor, Michigan. You know, we always talk about teams I love, coaches I love. If there's a coach out there that I would punch in the face if I saw him in public, this would be the one right here. And I would punch Butch Jones square in his mug if I ever saw him. Hunter, does Arkansas State have anything for the Wolverines from Michigan?
I don't believe so, considering Arkansas State barely squeaked out a win against Tulsa and then should have lost against Central Arkansas. Michigan, while they took a severe beating from Texas,
They will that's a belt to ass beating?
Yes, we would. They're going to turn around and probably give a belt to ass beating to Arkansas State. I like Michigan to cover this 23.5. I don't know about that over under a 48.5. That's a tall order. I think Michigan probably wins 30-10, maybe 35 to 7. I mean, I don't see Arkansas State. Wow, Arkansas State scoring more than 10 points.
All right, and I'm gonna smile the entire time watching this game. Because why? Because I like Michigan so much. Why? I mean, I don't hate Butch Jones. But anyways, at 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus, from the link in Philly, the Temple Owls host Coastal Carolina. Does Coastal Carolina and Tim Beck come in here and just smash?
Yeah, I like Coastal to win this.
We both like Stan Drayton a lot, but they don't stand a chance in this game.
Stan Drayton's a great guy. Unfortunately, he coaches a team in Philadelphia, so therefore I have to dislike him. So this is a minus 18.5 spread. I like Coastal to cover that and then some. This over-under, Coastal might hit just on their own. They're going to definitely win this game. I don't see Temple scoring more than 14 points against Coastal.
All right. Then at 3 p.m. from Fox Sports 1, we got Iowa taking on Troy. I don't see Troy. Troy is not good. I don't see Troy doing anything with Iowa.
Troy is a different team. I like their quarterback's name, Goose Crowder. It's a great name. Unfortunately, he has not played like a great quarterback for the first 2 games. That can change. I don't see it changing in Kinnick Stadium. The best part of this game will be when the fans at halftime turn to wave, or maybe it's in the third quarter, turn to wave the Children's Hospital. One of the greatest traditions in all of the Big Ten. But I'd like Iowa to win, and I like the under.
All right. And at 3 p.m. on ESPNU from Dowdy Fickens Stadium in Greenville, North Carolina, we have the Mountaineers from Appalachian State taking on the East Carolina Pirates. Now, we've actually met somebody that's played at East Carolina. And he played for the Dallas Cowboys.
We have met people who have played at East Carolina, and they're. I have no comment on them. However, I believe App State will win this game. It's a quasi rivalry. Some call it East versus West there in North Carolina. It could build into something over time. On the roll with the App State Mountaineers, they took a beating from Clemson, but I think that they showed off that they have the ability to move the football, even in a rough loss like that. East Carolina has had 2 wins I didn't think they would get, but I like App State to go ahead and win this game.
All right, at 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus from SB Ballard Stadium in Norfolk, Virginia, we got the Monarchs taking on the Hokies. Do the Monarchs have anything for the Hokies?
This is a game that Old Dominion has won multiple times in the past. I just don't see it this year. I think that Virginia Tech, through Kyron Jones, is able to run the ball effectively enough to control the clock and escape with the win. I do like Old Dominion, Howard, to cover this -14.
All right, from Allen E. Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia, at 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus, we have the South Carolina State Bulldogs taking on the Georgia Southern Screaming Eagles. Quickly, who do you got in this one?
Georgia Southern.
You're a little muffled. What was that?
Georgia Southern.
All right. And at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus from Center Park Stadium in Hotlanta, Georgia. God, how many stadiums are in Atlanta? Do they have room for people there?
Yeah, inside the stadiums.
We have Vanderbilt traveling to take on Georgia State. Has Vanderbilt put a streak together this weekend?
I believe so. I think Vanderbilt looks good. They can run the football pretty effectively. Diego Pavia is playing some good complementary football, and they beat the Georgia State Panthers. I think that Georgia State, however, shocks the world a little bit and covers this 10.5-point spread.
All right, and from M&M Roberts Stadium in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, the Southern Miss Golden Eagles take on the South Florida Bulls. And South Florida, for 3.5 quarters, kept it interesting against Alabama, like I thought. And then, Alabama put belt to ass.
Yeah, that's one of those games that was closer than the score really gave away. I think South Florida's going to have a little bit of a hangover, but not enough to lose this game. They're going to come in. I like them to win by at least 2 touchdowns. It'll be an accumulation of offense type game. Eventually, they'll just break through, kind of in the same way that Alabama broke through against them. It'll be against Southern Miss the same way.
All right. So, Hunter, the SEC has some games and the ones to watch this week. And you have some cross-conference matchups versus Jude and versus Lindsay here. So we're going to start off with a game that maybe you might shock the world with here at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN from Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma, or as some people like to call it, the Palace on the Prairie. Does the Green Wave have anything for Tulane, or does the Tulane Green Wave have anything for the Sooners from Oklahoma?
I mean, they absolutely have the ability to win this game, but like we talked about watching them against K-State, and then afterwards, if you're a team that can't beat, if Tulane couldn't beat K-State, and there's some maybe questionable calls there by the referees in that game, I don't see how they beat Oklahoma, but Oklahoma also really struggled mightily against Houston of all programs. I would like Tulane to win this game as much as anyone that's a rival of another program. However, I just think Oklahoma's too talented. The defense is good enough, and I think Tulane just doesn't quite there. If they won against K-State, I would pick them. But since they didn't, I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Sooners.
All right, and at 2:30 p.m. on ABC from the Swamp in Gainesville, Florida, the Texas A&M Aggies come in as a 4-point favorite against the Florida Gators.
So this is a game that, our two programs are pretty middling right now. Questions abound around both of them. One program's a lot more confident in itself than the other, as it always is. However, I think Florida found something with DJ Lagway. Sure, it was against Samford, and they're not going to necessarily start him. However, I think by about halfway through the game, DJ Lagway will be taking the majority of the snaps. And if he's not, then Billy Napier will be fired. Anyway, I think Florida wins this game. I think Florida's going to win this game. I don't really think it really matters who the quarterback is. Florida's off. I have not seen enough from A&M's defense to say it's a dominant defense, and I've not seen enough from A&M's offense to say that's an offense that can go in the swamp and win. because the Swamp, no matter how bad Florida is a rough place to play.
All right, at 5:30 p.m. on the CW network, the Lane Train and the number 5 Ole Miss Rebels travel to take on the Demon Deacons from Wake Forest. Is this just a beatdown of beatdowns?
I like Dave Clawson. I love his offense as a maybe one-day future college football coach. Who knows? I like Ole Miss, though, to win this game. They're more talented, more effective, just a better overall team. Jackson Darts, Heisman chase continues with another big game. Look for 5 touchdowns out of the right arm of Jackson Dart.
All right, at 6 p.m. on ESPN from DKR, Texas Memorial Stadium in beautiful Austin, Texas. The Texas Longhorns host the UTSA Roadrunners. Now, last year, UTSA, they didn't maybe keep it interesting, but it was
2 years ago
closer than what Texas wanted to be in. Does Texas, do they edge them by a little bit more this season?
2 years ago. And I think so.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily know about this 35-point spread. Kind of similar situation to last year. Texas came off that big win against Alabama and slow played Wyoming. I don't think it's going to be that close because I don't think that this UTSA team this year is as good as that Wyoming team last year was. I mean, Texas should win this game. Just
all right.
Pretty comfortable margin. Should.
You know, most years at 6:30 p.m. on ABC, when you see number 1 Georgia travel to Kentucky, you think that would be a game for the one to watch. But this year, not so much. Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky is not going to be a friendly place for Kentucky. Do they take a second belt-to-ass beating 2 weeks in a row?
I have no doubt about it. There is some reports that suggest that Kentucky put a lot of extra focus these last 2 weeks into playing against Georgia, overlooking South Carolina. And as you know, and the fans here will certainly know, I hate that. I hate overlooking opponents and for bigger games in this hope to somehow get big wins, especially against a team like Georgia. That's the wrong way to approach the game. And I think
taking it 1 week at a time. Why can't we just take it 1 week at a time?
I think Kentucky's going to pay for it with another belt-to-ass beating. And it's not going to be
You're
31-6.
asking 20-year-olds to not think they're the best in the world, man. That's hard. When you're a great team and you're 20 years old, who's going to tell them, oh, man, you can't look past this team right here.
Well, if you watch the Notre Dame Northern Illinois game, that would tell you.
Yeah.
Well, what it was is Kentucky was looking past South Carolina because on paper they're far more talented to play this Georgia game to hopefully win it. And I don't mean just the players. I mean the coaching staff itself. It's not unknown in college football for coaching staffs to take extra practices for future teams and the ones they're playing. Texas and Oklahoma both did that against each other plenty of times throughout their long history. But Kentucky's going to pay for it. They're not going to lose 31-6. They're going to lose about 52 to maybe 7.
All right, at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN2, that's the news from Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. Do the Auburn Tigers right the ship this week against the New Mexico
ship, but they will win.
Lobo?
I don't know about riding the ship. There's a lot more than just one win. It's going to take more than one win to right the ship there in Auburn, Alabama. But they do secure the win over the New Mexico Lobos.
All right, at 6:30 p.m. on the ESPNU from Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville, Mississippi. The Toledo Rockets travel to take on the Bulldogs from Mississippi. Anything here?
I mean, there's a role where Toledo can win this game. They can run the ball effectively, and we saw Mississippi State can't stop it. So we'll see. But I just think that Mississippi State's talented enough. I think Jeff Lebby's creative enough that he won't take a loss to a MAC school at home. But it would be absolutely hilarious if they did.
All right. And at 6:45 p.m. on the nightcap in the SEC from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. And if you've ever driven through that area, there is nothing that is not covered in orange and white. The Kent State Golden Flashes, or whatever they are, travel to take on the Tennessee Volunteers. Does quarterback from Tennessee have about 3 million passing and rushing yards combined this game?
Tennessee's going to win by the spread itself by 49. They're gonna probably cover that.
No, that's the line. The spread, the over under is 62.5.
They may win by the over under. It's just Kent State does not look good. Tennessee looks amazing.
All right, and that's the conference breakdown. Guys, give yourselves a round of applause.
Hey, I didn't talk about UAB in Arkansas.
Did we really skip UAB in Arkansas?
All right, so most college football fans, Arkansas wins.
All right, well, there we go. You know what it was? Is I was looking at Texas A&M, and then I was looking at Ole Miss, and then I was like,
Hey, the
UAB
East
and
Carolina
Arkansas.
Pirate, that you met, did you coach his son?
Yes, I did. And
Was
he
his
missed
first
a
name?
tackle on Steve Young in the 1995 NFC Championship game, which propelled the 49ers to the Super Bowl, which they won. So,
Was his first name Robert?
yeah.
Okay.
And he's a super nice guy. And I'm not like friends with him or anything. I met him, my coach's son. It's, good family.
I have a great story about Robert Jones. He would be at all of our practices there at Hill Country. And he pulled me aside one day and he showed me pictures. He always wore the number, I believe, 54. He was a little kid. And he showed me all these pictures, and he told me about how that, and I always wore 53 because Dad wore 53 because Bill Romanowski wore 53. He kind of told me that don't lose sight of that being your identity as a football player and who you are. And I didn't really understand at the time what it meant then. But over time, it made more sense, especially because I sucked more when I didn't wear 53 than when I wore 53. So it's just one of those things.
53.
That's cool.
So I sound like the worst parent in the world because Bill Romanowski, maybe not the greatest human on earth, but I picked 53 because 53 comes with an attitude. And if you're going to wear 53, you got to act as if, right? You got to act as if. If anybody's ever seen Boiler Room, you know what the next part of the phrase I'm going to say is. I'm not going to say it right now, but you got to act as if. And if you carry that attitude with you on the football field, you act as if, it will take you a long way with
Especially
a lot of hard work.
If you're a kid that's smaller than everybody else and not quite as athletic at the time.
I told you, Hunter was the ultimate underdog in every sport he ever played in. But you know what? You never did. You never quit. So proud of you for that. You never quit. You never gave up. And you always made the most of every opportunity you got. And with that said, we're going to move on to the ones to watch. Now, we got quite a few games in the ones to watch. And Jude, you want to start with Jude? Jude, you want to start this one off?
Sure.
All right.
And then I'll
At
start
6 p.m. on
real
ESPN
quick.
from Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City, Kansas. We have
Go ahead.
UNLV traveling to take on the Jayhawks from Kansas. Who you got in this one, Jude?
I think Kansas bounces back and handles UNLV.
All right, at 7 p.m. on Fox. From Bill Snyder Family Stadium in Manhattan, Kansas, we got the number 20 Arizona Wildcats traveling to take on the Kansas State Wildcats. Too many Wildcats in this one. Which set of Wildcats wins this game?
Man, I don't even remember who I picked, but I'm thinking about that game right now because that's another game I've gone back and forth on. I'm going to think I switched back, and I'm going to go with Arizona.
All right, so you're saying that Noah Fafita and Tataroa McMillan, one of my favorite names in college football, going to get the traveling road win victory here.
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is a game right here. I absolutely knew who Jude was going to pick on this game. All right, at 11 a.m. on Fox from Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin. The number 4 Alabama Crimson Tide travel to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Jude, who's winning this game?
If Wisconsin can play their game, big old hunking linemen. Now, I know the SEC's big and tough like that, but Wisconsin, man, you get some awesome linemen out of Wisconsin. If they can handle the line of scrimmage, Wisconsin wins 28-27.
All right. 11 a.m. on ABC, we have LSU, number 16 LSU, traveling to take on South Carolina, the other Gamecocks. Who'd you got on this one, Jude?
Sorry, man. I zoned out. Which game did you talk about again? Something went through my head. Somebody
It was
watched.
Holy Cross at Akron.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. LSU at South Carolina.
LSU is going to win this game handily.
All right. From Memorial Stadium in Columbia, Missouri, the number 24 Boston College. Why am I drawing a blank here on BC? Eagles take on the Missouri Tigers, the number 6 Missouri Tigers on the SEC network at 11:45 a.m. Jude,
No,
I think you're leaning Missouri on this one, aren't you?
I was. I absolutely was leaning Missouri. I sent you that pick, but the more and more this stream went on, I'm going to pick Boston College because do believe they are real.
Even Lindsay's going, listen, I'm from Boston.
That's a bold pick.
That's ballsy. But hey, you know what? If Jude wins, because he's the only one, I was going to pick Boston College, but I did not pick Boston College. You can ask Hunter. I took Missouri. Ballsy. I like it. That's why we have Jude on this stream. All right, Jude.
That's more balls than they have in Ballsack, Texas. Lubbock, Texas. I mean.
All right. We got a classic Pac-12 matchup. Rivalry game, the Civil War versus the number 9 Oregon Ducks traveled to Corvallis, Oregon at 2:30 p.m. on Fox to take on the Oregon State Beavs. Jude, who are you taking?
I'm going to take the Ducks in a close one.
All right. I'm leaning the Beavs myself. You know what I mean? No, actually, I took Oregon as well. Hunter took the Beavs. All right. Another Pac-12 matchup. The Apple Cup. It just feels weird playing these rivalry games in September and not in November. But the Apple Cup, nothing Washington State travels to unranked Washington at 2:30 p.m. on Peacock. Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington. Do the Cougs have anything for the Husky?
For about a half, and then ultimately, the Huskies are going to run away with it.
All right, and we have another rivalry game for you to pick here, Jude. In I think it's called the Backyard Brawl. Am I right on that one, Hunter? Backyard Brawl. We have the West Virginia Mountaineers traveling to take on the Pitt Panthers at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN2 from Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. What do you got in this one, Jude?
West Virginia.
All right, and I've already had Jude pick this game, even though it made our ones to watch. Jude, tell me about this game one more time. Indiana versus UCLA at 6:30 p.m. on NBC from the Rose Bowl.
Two worst teams in the Big Ten, and the worser is going to be UCLA.
All right. At 6:30 p.m., this is another rivalry game. Can you believe it? Rivalry games in September. This is called the Rocky Mountain Showdown between the Colorado Buffaloes and the Colorado State Rams at 6:30 p.m. on the CBS from Canvas Stadium in Fort Collins, Colorado. Judas is going to lean with the Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime, but just barely. Just barely.
I hope we get as good a game as we.
He's like,
I hope we get as good a game as we got last year.
Now look, as hard as I was on Arkansas about bad coaching, last year the coach of Colorado State coached them out of a win, and I was like, God, that was such a bad move. But I will have my take on Colorado and Colorado State shortly. We're going to move over to Lindsay and the ones to watch. Lindsay, UNLV at Kansas. What you got?
I like Kansas by a touchdown.
All right. Number 20, Arizona at number 14, Kansas State. What do you like in this one?
I think it's going to be Kansas State this time. I'd keep it in Kansas. They got they're favored by 7.5. I'll give them 10 on this one.
All right. Number 4, Alabama, Wisconsin. Jude says Wisconsin wins by a point. What does Lindsay say?
I don't think Wisconsin's going to beat Alabama. I like Alabama too much. I think the program is too strong to take the loss here. So they'll win by a couple of touchdowns.
All right. The number 16 LSU Tigers take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Do the Cocks have anything for the Tigers?
They're going to put up a fight, but LSU did such a good job a few weeks ago. I like how they're progressing so far in the early season. So I'm going to give them the edge by about a field goal touchdown somewhere in there.
All right, Lindsay. Number 24, BC, Boston College, that is, travels to take on the number 6, Missouri Tigers.
Yeah,
Dude,
Boston College this
Doug
week.
Flutie picking in this game?
Well, Boston College this week has officially changed their mascot to Doug Flutie. So now it's the Boston College Doug Fluties who are playing the Missouri, whoever they are. And they're going to lose, though. Doug Flutie doesn't have the golden touch like he used to. And I think that Missouri's not going to keep it terribly close with them. They're going to walk away probably by 2, maybe 3 touchdowns late in the game.
All right. From Reser Stadium in Corvallis, Oregon, the Civil War. The number 9 Oregon Ducks take on the Oregon State Beavs. Who do you got in the Beavs versus the Ducks?
I would like to see Oregon change their mascot and Oregon State changed their mascot. I would like to see Oregon change it to the State Beavers, and I would like to see Oregon State change it to the Beavers, so that it's always going to be the Oregon State Beavers and the Oregon State Beavers.
Can you pick a winner?
I just like Beaver.
Beaver. Don't we all?
Oregon by 2 touchdowns.
Oregon. Yeah. All right. Washington State at Washington. What you got?
Washington by, I'm going to say a field goal. They're going to come in just under the spread.
All right. And in the backyard brawl, West Virginia at Pitt. Who do you have?
You know, I think although West Virginia's favored, Pittsburgh could pull the upset here and just pull it up by a scotch in the end. Look for them to win, but not by much.
All right. This isn't a rivalry game. I don't even know why we picked it for once to watch, but we have Indiana and UCLA. What you got on this one?
India's going to squeeze this one out in the end. No, nobody.
No,
no, not that one. Oh, man,
I don't have a here. Here you go. Great.
Live studio audience.
These are the
All right, the live studio
Squeeze it out
audience
in the
is
end. Is that
waiting.
because it's the toilet bowl?
It could very well be. May very well be.
Uh,
And then the nightcap, Colorado at Colorado State, Lindsay.
I don't like Colorado enough to give them the win on this one, even though they are favored by a touchdown. I'm going to say they're going to lose. Colorado State will pull out ahead on this one, probably by 7 to 10 points.
All right. I am going to go next. And the ones to watch, and I took the UNLV Rebs against Kansas. I think UNLV is going to win. And because I am a firm believer in the offensive coordinator at UNLV, and he will be a head coach next year, or he will be a top-level offensive coordinator at a major school next year. Either or. But he has earned it. Brendan Marion, good job. And the number 20 Arizona at Kansas, number 14 Kansas State. Hunter and I both took KSU, but I won't speak for Hunter. I took Kansas State in that game. I have also taken number 4 Alabama to upset Wisconsin at home. But when it comes to number 16 LSU at South Carolina, I took South Carolina because I don't believe in LSU after watching that first game. So mark it down. And in the number 24 BC and number 6 Missouri, I took Missouri. But I waffled on this decision. I was like, is it one side or the other? I'm going Missouri. And in the Civil War, I'm taking the Ducks. Quack, quack. All right, no jokes. In the Apple Cup, I'm taking Washington. Jed Fish is a really good coach in Washington State. Although they look good against the Big 12 of foe last week, they're going to look a little less great this week. And in the backyard brawl, as much as I want to take Pitt, I'm not. I'll never pick a team from Pennsylvania. Like Hunter said, we don't cheer from teams from Philly. Well, we don't cheer from teams from Pittsburgh either. I'm taking the Mountaineers in this one. And in the, I don't know why the hell we picked it, bowl, Indiana traveling to UCLA. I don't know why I picked them. UCLA is going to win this game. Sounded good. And then in the nightcap, Colorado at Colorado State, from Kansas Stadium in Fort Collins, Colorado. Jude, you're going to be shocked when I tell you who I'm picking in this one. I'm taking Colorado to win by that much. Because Jay Norvell coached Colorado State out of a victory. No, it won't be because of him. It's just because Jay Norvell will coach themselves out of a victory once again. With that said, that brings us down to the one, the only Texas State party's harder than Arizona State. Hunter, on Friday, UNLV at Kansas. What you got?
A lot of points. I think Kansas goes ahead and wins this game. I wouldn't be shocked if UNLV wins. I will lead Kansas by a touchdown.
All right, in the Battle of the Wildcats. Why are we playing both the Kansas games on Friday? Is there something going on Saturday in Kansas that we don't know about?
Wouldn't know.
Are they watching wheat grow or, I mean,
Tornado warnings? I don't know.
tornado warnings. Who do you got in the number 20 Arizona versus Kansas, number 14 Kansas State?
I'm going to go with the Kansas State Wildcats. And surprisingly, this game is not a Big 12 matchup. They were scheduled before Arizona joined the Big 12, so it's technically a non-conference matchup because why should college football make any sense?
Well, they have Big 12 refs there.
Unfortunately.
Then somebody will get screwed. All right, number 4 Alabama, Wisconsin. What you got?
I mean, I think Wisconsin's going to be excited. It'll be a loud, raucous environment, and they're going to come out and battle real hard, but it won't matter. Alabama's going to win.
All right, I already know who you took in this game. Number 16 LSU at South Carolina.
I mean, as much as I'd love to see LSU lose to 2 USCs in one season, because that'd just be hilarious. I think that they get it done. They're a more talented team. South Carolina had a big win, but I think LSU gets it done.
All right, so which USC team is better, the Trojans or the Cox?
The one on the West Coast.
The Trojans cover the Cox on this one?
You could say that.
All right. What do you got on the number 24 Boston College Doug Flutie's versus the number 6 Missouri Tigers?
I mean, it's a good story for Boston College, and it's cool they got the Doug Flutie deal going on because they're looking for the big upset. But Doug Flutie's not gonna be out there winging passes for him. I like Thomas Castellanos, but Missouri's a more talented team, more physically dominant team. This would be a hard hitting game for sure, but I think the Tigers get it done by at least 10.
All right. The Civil War, number 9 Oregon at Oregon State. I know who you took. You're going to change your mind?
No, I'm not going to change my mind. Oregon has struggled to stop the run 2 weeks in a row against players that eat potatoes. I don't know how close Corvallis is to potato country, but if I'm the Oregon State coach, they're eating a lot of potatoes. Maybe just with like Oregon O's on them, so that they know to hate.
Remember,
Ducks a little bit more.
Ida is Oregon and Idaho potatoes. Or Ida.
I don't know how close Corvallis is to the potato country. I'm taking the Beavs. They're getting it done. I know that they're a big logging community up there. The Beavers are getting it done against the Oregon Ducks. You can't play 2 weeks in a row poorly against two lower level teams, even if one does have Ashton Genty. Oregon State can run the football and they can run it well. They can stop the pass. They can stop the run. They're a team looking to win this game. They're going to fight hard. I also like their quarterback, Giovanni McCoy. So they're going to get it done. I'll go with the Beavs.
All right. In the Apple Cup, the Washington State Cougars versus the Washington Huskies. Who do you got?
You guys said it best. I really do. I mean, I like Washington State a lot, but I think Jed Fish is a great coach. Washington retained a good chunk of talent from the team that played in the college football national championship last year. So they probably shouldn't have. Anyway, they retained a lot of talent. They did lose some players on the offensive line and quarterback and wide receiver, but they did retain some defensive players, and I think that they retained a certain mentality there. Jed Fish is a good coach. He gets it done, winning himself his first Apple Cup.
All right, in the backyard brawl, West Virginia at Pitt. What you got?
As a big fan of the Pat McAfee show, I'm just going to pull for the West Virginia Mountaineers no matter what. Also, I just think they get it done. Pitt survived a close one against the Cincinnati team that I think we'll come to find out isn't very good at football. So I'm going to roll with the West Virginia Mountaineers.
All right, in Indiana versus UCLA, I don't know why the hell we have this game on here, but what you got?
I'm a Kurt Cignetti truther. I think that he proves.
You like Alex Jones here? You're going to be, calling up black helicopters with Indiana logos on them, or
Alex Jones. Anyone watching, I have no positive opinions about Alex Jones. Anyway, especially if my employer's watching. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Indiana here. I think they're a really good team. I don't know that they're going to be a 10-win team or anything like that, but I think they're a good team, and I think Kurt Cignetti's got them in the right place year one to win 6-7 games, and they get win number 3 already by going to LA and beating the.
All right, the nightcap.
Hey, I'm going to forecast the future real quick. I think that game's going to get talked about one more time.
Yeah. All right, and the nightcap, Colorado at Colorado State. I know who you're taking. I know who I'm taking.
I'm going to take the team that doesn't look completely disjointed 24/7 and doesn't have an utter, horrendous news cycle about it across an offseason.
Hey, look, Colorado won the game in the 3 areas that matter the most.
That's right. TikTok, Instagram.
Players related to the head
Shout out
coach.
to David Hale of ESPN for that great article. You can find it on ESPN Plus. Please don't sue us. Anyway, Colorado State. Torrey Horton's a little banged up, but I think Brandon Fowler. I saw something in that run game Colorado State had against Texas. It was a bright spot of the game. They when it mattered most inside the 20s, they didn't really get much done with it. It did move the ball pretty well, and Colorado's defense isn't even the same stratosphere as Texas defense. So I think if Colorado State can effectively run the ball like that, and Brandon Fowler and Nicolosi can make good, consistent throws, they'll beat Colorado.
All right, and with that is going to wrap up the show. We're going to hit the conclusion. I'm going to put the
Bye.
solo layout on all the guys one at a time. I'm going to let them do their game of the week, their bold proclamation, and say their goodbyes, and then we're going to head out. But before I do that, there's something important we need to talk about. We're filming on Tuesday night. It is 9/10 tonight. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is 9/11, and we wouldn't be human without recognizing that tomorrow we're going to pay our respects to those we lost and those we've lost since 9/11. I want to send my thoughts and prayers to everybody affected by 9/11. It was a traumatic time in my life, a traumatic time in my family's life. And with that said, 9/11, the first responders, the military, the innocent civilians that lost their lives that day, we are thinking about you and we pray for you. And in Jesus' name we pray, amen. And with that said, let's head on to the conclusions. I think this first guy, he needs to hit the road here. I think he's fighting back a server dude somehow. If I can get my
a
icon
hungry
over here,
surfer dude.
we're gonna click on my guy, cool Jude Santa Cruz. Jude, give me your game of the week, your bold proclamation, and send your solo out there.
Game of the week is a game that I actually get to talk about for the third time on this show. I talked about it in conference breakdowns. I talked about it in the games to watch. And now, game of the week, Indiana versus UCLA, or vice versa. However, I think they're in UCLA. They're in Pasadena. That's right. Indiana may earn their way out of the weak WEAK if they keep winning, because they're playing a lot better than a lot of us thought they were at the beginning of the season. But UCLA won't. I don't know why I had to talk about this game 3 times today, but that's the game of the week, everybody. So if you guys have something else to do Saturday afternoon in Pasadena, go check out the Golden Palace, man. It's the best Chinese food place in Pasadena. All right. Bold proclamation. I'm gonna forego what I wrote and sent to Cass because of what I'm heard earlier on the stream. Cass said something to the point of who's Ole Miss playing this weekend? Because you said that they don't have anything for Ole Miss. And my bold proclamation is that this year, this is a forecast, neither will Georgia or Texas, or not Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, or whoever else they play in the SEC.
Ole Miss plays Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest. You said that they had nothing for Ole Miss this week. And I'm saying throughout this season, no team on their schedule is going to have anything for them, and that includes the Georgia Bulldogs. That's my bold proclamation. Game to watch, man. I'm really looking forward to watching Oregon State. That's going to be a very exciting game. I don't even think that's the one that I wrote to Cass again, but that's going to be a great game to watch. You guys keep an eye on that game. It's going to be a fun game. They call that that Civil War.
Yep.
Yeah, Civil War. Yeah, that's always a great game in the Pac-10. But no more. But now it's a September rivalry. But that's all right. And I'm gonna have to say goodnight, guys. I had a great time. Hope you guys all enjoy this. I will be in the chat Thursday night. Like Cass just said, we're filming 2 days ahead of time. But remember, as always, fight on. We are SC, and V is for victory. Can't spell SEC without S and C. Good night, everybody.
All right. And the assistant to the president of the Doug Flutie fan club, Lindsay. Who do you have for the game of the week?
The game of the week
Can we
is
throw some
going to
echo on
be
that? The game of the week.
it's so much better with the reverb. I'm going to look at what's going to be a yawner of a game because it's going to be so lopsided. Tennessee and Kent State. Tennessee's going to walk away handily. Kent State's not even going to show up for this one. Give that one a pass. It's not one that you're going to want to watch for any kind of entertainment value. As far as the bold proclamation goes, I'm going to say that for tickets that are as low as $11 each, the Bethune-Cookman Western Michigan game will have at least 24 people show up to watch, all of whom will be sitting in the $11 section. And as my sign-off, I'd like to thank everyone here for watching. It's a pleasure to do this for you. So please share this with other people. Give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And remember, you can't spell college football if you're too stupid to spell college football.
All right,
Wrong.
Hunter.
Wrong.
What do you got going on here, bud?
All right, so game of the week. I vacillated. I flummoxed. I'm going to go with Massachusetts at Buffalo. Two teams that look rough, to say the least. But I think the Minutemen get it done. You know, they get a big win. Bold proclamation. I've already said it once. I'll say it twice. Texas State beats the Arizona State Scum Devils because we just party harder in San Marcos. Enjoy the square, everyone from Arizona. I know that you're from California, so you'll get along with everyone else that moved here from California too.
All right, and that's gonna end for Hunter there.
Well, wait, let me get my three things.
Oh, wait, hold on, wait, he's got something else to say.
And as always, in order of importance, as I go down, they get closer to my heart. First, go Navy. Don't lose the bye week. Hook 'em horns and eat 'em up cats.
All right, that's gonna wrap it. Oh wait, hold on a second, I gotta go. My game of the week. Well, I've already talked about it. Like Jude talked about his game 27 times. I've talked about this one at least twice. My game of the week is the Bayou Bucket and the Rice Owls at the Houston Cougars. Nobody's going to beat this game, and nobody in this state cares about this game. I don't even think the people playing it or the attendance. I don't know what to say. Anyways, game of the week. Rice at Houston. Houston and Rice, doesn't matter. My bold proclamation, the loser of the A&M and Florida game, the coach will be on the hot seat or just outright fired because that's how we roll. And remember, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, touch that bell notification so whenever videos like this one show up, you are first to watch. And if you watch the whole hour and 36 minutes of this show, God bless you. We thank you from Wide Right CFB. This is the coach here. Wait, hold on a second. I've already messed it up again. Remember, the team that scores the most points always wins the game. Thanks for watching.